There's a brand new 5-star spear on the block, and I'm not really seeing that many people talk about it, so today we are. Hi there, my name is Blossums, and today we're going to be talking about the brand new 5-star spear, the Staff of the Scarlet Sands, as I think it's quite powerful and worth mentioning, considering the fact that it's very comparable to the Jade Cutter, which is one of the better 5-star swords in the game. And I remember when the Jade Cutter first came around, a lot of people expressed their disappointment in not being able to get it because it made building characters so easy. But before we get into anything and everything, I first and foremost want to express the fact that I really do not recommend summoning on any weapon banner ever, as the weapon banner system is just not good in my opinion, and honestly just kind of a waste of primos compared to just getting a new character or something that's generally going to be much more valuable for your account. Even constellations are typically going to be more valuable for your account. But hey, if you're like me and you have some excess primos and you want to go on the weapon banner, I will give you one hot tip. Even as a medium spender, I do not summon on weapon banners typically, but I do set a rule for myself if I am interested in weapons on the weapon banner. That rule setting a wish limit of maybe like 10 to 20 wishes and adhering to it. If I hit that cap on that weapon banner, then I simply just will not wish on the banner anymore, save my primos for the next more interesting character. And that's just my kind of guideline and how I treat weapon banners. Again, I do not recommend summoning on them, but if you are going to, or if you get this weapon or are interested in polearms in general, I think it's worth at least knowing about this. All right, I'm done telling you how to live your life, for now at least, but why does this matter so much? Why am I making a video about it? Well, if you don't remember what the Jade Cutter is, the primordial Jade Cutter sword is a 5-star sword that has a max crit rate of 44.1%. which is pretty nuts because that is a lot of crit rate, and it allows your artifacts to be significantly more lenient whenever you're trying to build some sort of DPS or crit oriented character. And just to put it into perspective, remember that when you have a level 20 crit rate helmet, it's only 31.1, and something like the Jade Cutter is already significantly higher than that, so it is a ton of crit rate. And then not only that, it has a strong passive that increases your HP by 20% and then additionally provides attack based on the wielder's max HP. And that is significantly important as well because the weapon does have a relatively low base attack compared to some of its other 5-star counterparts. So getting that additional attack really does make up for it, and that additional HP is really valuable. So the Jade Cutter is a really good weapon on a lot of characters because it by itself essentially solves any sort of crit rate issue you would have, as well as giving you HP, which is increasingly becoming more relevant, and giving you attack, which is almost always relevant. And that leads us back to the brand new 5-star polearm, the Staff of the Scarlet Sands, that we're talking about today, because its crit rate is the same as the Jade Cutter's, where it ends up at 44.1%, that insane crit rate value. And while this is super strong and very valuable, I do want to note though that even though this has that same crit rate factor as the Jade Cutter and the same base attack, the core difference lies in their passive, and this is what arguably makes this staff simultaneously worse and simultaneously better than something like the Jade Cutter. And the reason for this is the passive is pretty solid. The equipping character gains 52% of their elemental mastery as attack. And then when an elemental skill hits opponents, the Dream of Scarlet Sands effect will be gained for 10 seconds. The equipping character will gain 28% of their elemental mastery as bonus attack, max 3 stacks. So that's really solid. You can gain a lot of attack off this, but it is entirely reliant on the fact that you're building for elemental mastery, which is the core difference here. The big difference between this and the Jade Cutter is that the Jade Cutter, even if it didn't have this line of HP is increased by 20%, you'd still be getting a good amount of attack just on the fact that every single character has max HP or a pretty decent amount of max HP. So no matter what, you're getting this bonus. But the bonus from the Staff of Scarlet Sands relies on you having built into elemental mastery. So while this does alleviate pretty much all of your crit rate needs for a particular polearm character, it does create the need to have elemental mastery on that character in order to maximize this spear to its best capability. And that's why I said this is arguably kind of worse and better than the Jade Cutter. The Jade Cutter requires basically no effort to get a bunch of attack from it, and if your character is already HP scaling, then they're getting even significantly more benefit from the Jade Cutter, which is pretty common nowadays. We're doing a lot of HP scaling out here. I don't know if you've noticed. But the Staff of Scarlet Sands here, you really have to build into it to get its benefit, but if you do, you are very handsomely rewarded. You get plenty of bonus attack here with a maximum of 3 stacks. So if you have a character that can really take advantage of all 3 of those stacks, you can really pop off. But even without the passive, even if you delete the passive, there is still the sheer fact that it solves pretty much any and all crit rate problems you will ever have, and that alone makes it an incredibly powerful 5-star polearm, and why I went for it on its particular banner as my very first 5-star polearm. I've been needing one for a while, and I was pretty close to pity, so I set my budget as per usual and went for it and got very lucky. And boy, I'm glad I did, because it did influence me to try and make this video and at least point it out to some people. So this spear is pretty strong at base, and those who can really take advantage of the stacking mechanic of the spear really benefit from it even more. And this spear was obviously pretty much tailor-made for Cyno, as he gains a lot of benefits from his elemental mastery. He gets some in his elemental burst. It's very good for him, but it's not to say that it's only for him, as a lot of other polearm characters can actually take advantage of this. One of the first ones that comes to mind is somebody like Xiao, because he already has 2 of his E skills at base, so you can get 2 stacks immediately very easily. But if you have something like the C3, you can also get it easy. However, I do want to say one thing: if you hit multiple opponents with 1 E skill, you'll actually be able to get all 3 stacks immediately, and that's where the spear also is able to help out plenty of other characters. Somebody like Raiden Shogun also takes advantage of this, as she's able to hit multiple enemies with 1 cast of her E skill, or simply by being on the field and then hitting some opponents, it will get those stacks. You do have to be on the field though in order to gain those stacks. I did mess around with it, so keep that in mind. But this is increasingly more relevant, especially on a character like Raiden Shogun, who just obtained a brand new kind of build to where you can build into Elemental Mastery for those different Quicken or Aggravate or Hyper Bloom teams. But hey, not everybody benefits from this. Characters like Hu Tao, Zhongli, and Yunjin really can't do anything with this. I mean, you could go for some Elemental Mastery on Yunjin and Zhongli if you really want to take advantage of Crystallize, I guess. But I wouldn't. And then even brand new characters like Candace and a character like Toma can't really take advantage of it. If you want crit rate on them and you're trying to do some sort of DPS oriented build with the both of them, then sure, yeah, go for it. I think Candace actually isn't too bad of an option to slot it on. And then characters like Xiangling actually are very good with it, because you do want Elemental Mastery for your Xiangling to make those vaporizes or whatever reaction you're going for, more than likely vaporize, to be even bigger and also solve her crit rate issues. And then characters like Rosaria benefit from the very high crit rate, especially because she does have that 1 passive where she bestows crit rate to the team for a maximum of 15% based on her own crit rate. So that's pretty cool. You're getting a bunch of free crit rate and helping out that passive overall. But hey, I don't want to take up too much of your time. I just wanted to point out the fact that there's a brand new, really strong 5-star spear in our midst, and I wanted to point your attention to it before it goes away. Let me know if you've actually been lucky enough to get this spear yourself, or maybe you just haven't been paying attention to it, or maybe you just don't want to wish on the weapon banner, which is entirely understandable. I'd like to see all of that in the comment section below and more. I hope to see you guys in the next video, but I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day. Peace.